when you kind of got fed up, or like, were you guys homeschooling, or like, what did that kind of look like when you first started thinking about it?
You know, even like the unhappiness part she talks about too, it was this gradual process.
Yeah.
Right. Because you first, like, you keep building and you go, okay, all right, next year when the business is going good, we're going to start relaxing. Or once you get this other thing, we're going to start relaxing. So for a long time, we knew that we weren't quite where we wanted to be, but we were like, but when we get to this point, it'll get better, and get this point and it'll get better. And then we had finally like checked all the boxes and done everything we were told to do. And we kind of went like, wow, like it feels like a month has gone by and it just flew by like that. And wow, we haven't been getting this experience with our kids. So the discomfort and we started to talk about like, hey, this isn't what it was supposed to be, kind of more and more gradual. And then we started to have opportunities to educate ourselves and meet other people and just kind of start seeing some different experiences that were out there. So at first it was just kind of questioning the system. Like, hey, gosh, is this all there is? Do we have to do it like this? And we always just did it like that because that's the way it was always done. We just accepted, no, like sometimes life isn't fair. Sometimes life isn't fun. You just do what you're supposed to do. So yeah, even if we just have to suck it up and do it, you know, and it was kind of like, there were a couple of things that started planting that seed bigger. You know, you had Matt and you had Jim and we had Yosemite. What are some of those things?
Right. So it was a really interesting process for us because as we were changing our life and we were getting out of this huge mess that we had kind of created and saying we wanted something more, as we made shifts in our path and the way that we were changing our life, these new people and new opportunities started presenting themselves. So the girls were actually going to a private Christian school. I'd had them in a traditional school for like 6 years. Maddie, our youngest, had been in school from preschool, like at 3 years old, until I pulled her out right after 3rd grade. So like our vice principal of our private school, he left, like loved the guy. He was my favorite administrator, leaves to go start an acting school. Like just he ups and leaves. His kids are becoming school age, and he's like, hey, I can't even like send my kid to a traditional school. I need to start a school in our community. So, and then we joined Gobundance, right? Aaron joins Gobundance. We end up going to a Fambundance event, and Jim and Jamie Shields are there, and they're talking about the family board meeting, and they're talking about the education matrix. And so these little seeds we're changing our lifestyle, and these seeds about educating our kids differently are just being like dropped in our laps as we're just kind of creating a new path. And so, I mean, it was a process though. We ended up going on a couple of vacations to try it out. We're just like brainstorming, like, what could this look like for our family? What's going to work best for what we actually need? And then one day we just kind of said we were just done with it. Like it was parent teacher conferences, and I walked into the girls' school, and I really just kind of prayed right before I went in, and I'm just like, give me a sign. Like if this is for our family, like we've had all of this knowledge dumped into our laps over the last 9 months. Like there's obviously a reason. And when I went in, I was just so assured in our decision. I walked out of there as a homeschool mom. You know, I just easily told all 3 teachers, we love you. We love what you do. Your work is so important, but we're on a new journey.
Yeah, there's a couple of fun steps in there that are probably great for the One Life podcast in particular, because One Life had some big roles in that. You know, and Matt was our first inspiration that gave Kalina a bunch of different books to read, and they were about like, different, like free to learn and ways that kids learn and the history of education, which made us start questioning things. You know, and Jim and Jamie, when they talk about the education matrix, they talk about these are all the things that the skills you really need in life that aren't taught in school. And that was like mind blowing. But still, we were like, okay, and we'd go back to school. And then we went on, some friends and I had booked a trip to Yosemite like a year prior. So we decided to go to Yosemite for a week, and it's a week or 2 weeks or something like that. But what we weren't planning on, we were like, all right, we're going to pull the kids out of school. We're going to bring their homework. They'll do their homework. I'll do my work stuff. And we get there and there's no Wi-Fi, no internet access, no phone access. And we had forgot Maddie's homework. You know, so instead we're like, all right, well, I guess we're in it. So then every day we'd go do these hikes and go on these ranger tours and learn about glaciation and learn about, the birds. And then we'd go meet with rangers at night. So we were learning, our kids were learning for that week, like all about nature, tons of different education about the world, waterfall hikes, really fun experiences as a family. And And then, where the 5-hour school week pretty much comes from is, so then we get home like that Sunday night. So we had this awesome week away, like so fantastic, learned so much about life skills and fun. And it's Sunday night, and all of a sudden Maddie goes, all right, but now the reality of school is again tomorrow, and I still have this homework to do. And and the 4-hour work week is a concept that I've talked about at One Life and some different concepts. And so we got back and I said, you know what, Maddie, let's just sit down and focus. Let's get all your homework out. We're going to cram, we're going to knock it out, we're going to get it done. And over the next couple hours, she just stayed focused. So we did one project and another and another. And one of the things I had to teach her in that homework was long division. And we talk about that several different times because everybody remembers when they learned long division as a kid. And she's like, wow, I missed that week, and that's when they did it. So we go through it, and she's getting this one-on-one focus. And at the end of it, she finishes all of her homework, a week's worth of homework, and she's amazed and so relieved. And we go to school the next day, we drop her off, and she's feeling good. And we go to pick her up from school that day. We pick up the kids, and it was so funny when Maddie got in the car. We said, so how did you do? How was it being back? And she goes, Dad, I'm the only one in my class that knows how to do long division. They didn't even get to it last week. Yeah. And so we were like, wow. So that's really kind of like the epitome and the concept of the 5-hour school week. It's based on 4-hour work week principles. Like, hey, if you wait and you cram everything into a short period of time and you have focus with no distractions, you can accomplish so many different things. At that time, though, we still didn't know it was going to be the 5-hour school week. And then we went back to school and we said, all right, that was fun, but we can't really adopt that lifestyle yet. Several months later, I was actually speaking at One Life in Sacramento, and I was on stage telling people about the 4-hour work week and encouraging them to try these principles and only work an hour a day and do these different things of focus. And the second to last question was a gal that's a friend of ours now that I hadn't met at the time, and she stood up and goes, okay, so I'm really curious about you tell us to do this for our lives. I'm really curious about how you do this with your kids and their education. At that time, I was kind of just stumped for a second, and I held it for a couple of seconds, and I think we've got a One Life video of it somewhere. And I was like, that's a really good question, because at that time we knew we didn't like education. We knew we didn't like the system. We knew it wasn't quite working. And the only story I could come up with was like, well, we're not really there, but we had this experience in Yosemite where she got a whole week's worth of stuff done in 2 hours. And so I guess that's our closest version of it. And after that, that was another step in it. But the reason I wanted to jump back to that step was really just to give One Life credit for some of that, right? Because it was the inspiration, getting to talk to people that got to be part of that story.